Thanks, Mr. Secretary. Let me start my questioning where Senator Graham left off. We have a bipartisan concern about fentanyl in the United States. As Senator Graham mentioned, 70,000 fatal overdoses in the U.S. every year. We need to launch, the President says we need to launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production and sale. I'd like to start at the obvious place. Where is it coming from? Well, it may start with precursor chemicals in China, but it certainly comes through the two major drug cartels in Mexico, which are the major exporters into the United States, Jalisco and Sinaloa. Here's what the former Mexican ambassador to the United States, Arturo Surcan, said. Mr. Surcan said only a handful of law enforcement agencies in Mexico are willing or able to engage with the powerful drug gangs. Quote, "There's no doubt that endemic corruption, impunity, a weak rule of law are Mexico's Achilles heels." He went on to say that means fentanyl and methamphetamine labs operate in Mexico with almost no pressure. I've had two lengthy conversations with Ann Milgram with the Drug Enforcement Administration about this challenge of fentanyl. I will say, I want to mention to my colleague, Senator Graham, and others on the committee, when we get into the world of social media in a couple weeks in this committee, one of the first stops will be Snapchat for me, because according to DEA, this is the major clearinghouse for the sale of fentanyl in the United States, these fake drugs that are being sold. So my question to you is not easily answered and maybe impossible to answer. Tell me how we strike a relationship with Mexico to actively cooperate in the flow of individuals who are coming toward the United States, while at the same time deal with the reality that they are failing miserably when it comes to the export of deadly narcotics to our country.
Mr. Chairman, you and Ranking Member Graham accurately describe the cartels as vicious, ruthless organizations that peddle in the death of individuals, including tens of thousands of Americans. We in the Department of Homeland Security are taking it to the cartels and the smuggling organizations with which they work in unprecedented fashion. And you noted, as did I, Operation Blue Lotus, the most recent surge of personnel and other resources and intelligence to take it to those cartels. We're seizing more fentanyl at our ports of entry than ever before. We in the Department of Homeland Security, through Homeland Security investigations, the criminal investigative arm of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, are working with our Mexican counterparts on an increasing level. We have transnational criminal investigative units that have indeed disrupted laboratories that manufacture fentanyl, that have helped interdict the flow of fentanyl within Mexico, that have in fact cut off financial streams, but the battle is very difficult, and we are seeking to cooperate more closely with our Mexican counterpart. And we're doing so in an all-of-administration effort, not just the Department of Homeland Security, not just the Department of Justice, of which the DEA is a part, but across the entire administration.
So let me ask you about the effort we're making. A lot of publicity has come out with the notion that people seeking asylum or refugee status are really transporting fentanyl into the United States. The chart which I demonstrated earlier suggests that 80% or more is actually coming from American citizens crossing at ports of entry. If we eliminated every applicant for asylum or refugee status, we would still have a tremendous flow of deadly narcotics coming in across the border. Is it impossible for us in this day and age to stop this flow by ordinary legal Americans through our ports of entry of narcotics?
Mr. Chairman, we are working intensely to devote additional resources to the ports of entry on the land of our southern border. That is where more than 90% of the fentanyl is transported, through passenger vehicles, through trucks, by pedestrians that are lawfully coming into the United States through the ports of entry. We are surging resources to the ports of entry to battle that. We are seeking more resources in our fiscal year 2024 budget for precisely that purpose, to add personnel, to add non-intrusive inspection technology, to allow our forward operating labs to detect the substance at the point of interdiction so we can bring our investigative and prosecutive capabilities right there and develop the force that we need to.
To put some perspective on this, it's my understanding that a backpack full of fentanyl is dangerous to thousands of people if it makes it into the United States. And we are talking about transport trucks flowing across our border by the thousands every single day. Does there exist technology to detect this fentanyl in these carriers coming into the United States?
There is, Mr. Chairman. It is called non-intrusive inspection technology. We are investing more in that. In addition, we are exploring how we can use artificial intelligence to really serve as a force multiplier of our incredible Border Patrol agents and our incredible Office of Field Operations officers who do such heroic work in this regard.
So we put some more money on the table for you when it comes to this technology. How much more do you need?
We are seeking we're seeking hundreds of millions of dollars for non-intrusive inspection technology in our fiscal year 2024 budget. We are also seeking to plus up our personnel, both our officers in Office of Field Operations and our Border Patrol agents.
Well, I certainly hope we have bipartisan support for that when it comes before the Senate and the House of Representatives. There was one aspect of your opening statement which you noted in summary before us that caught my eye, and that was the issue of drones. Would you please explain why that has become a new and concerning threat to you?
Mr. Chairman, the technology has advanced so significantly in the area of drones, as it has in so many different areas. These drones can fly farther, faster, have greater visibility, carry heavier loads, and they are being used by individuals with nefarious intent, as well as by adverse nation states, and we need to have the capability to counter the use of drones. They invade our airspace. They hover over public gatherings with bad intent. We have got to be able to counter them. We have the authority now. It sunsets. We need to renew it. And also, Mr. Chairman, we need to expand it.
Well, I'm certainly open to that, as I think many of my colleagues are. So let's work on that issue as well. I was briefed 2 or 3 weeks ago on artificial intelligence. It was a frightening presentation when you consider the opportunities of AI to overcome what we think are our protections in cybersecurity. You mentioned artificial intelligence in your opening statement. Can you comment on the challenge it's going to create for us?
Mr. Chairman, I am tasking the Homeland Security Advisory Council to provide advice to us in this regard. We, of course, are already focused on it, but want different perspectives. Artificial intelligence presents an opportunity for good that we seek to harness to really serve as a force multiplier in advancing the security of our country. At the same time, in the wrong hands, it can be a weapon. It could be a weapon of harm, and we have to build the defenses that are ready to secure the homeland with respect to the potential that AI presents.
Last point I'll make to you is that I have been meeting, as I told you in our phone conversation yesterday, with many of the immigrants who've come to the city of Chicago and sat down with them in conversation as to their backgrounds and why they came here. I will tell you, without exception, not a single one of them asked for the address of the local welfare office. Virtually every one of them asked me, where can I go to work? Now, we have this system of law that does not allow a person to legally work in the United States until a period of time has passed, 6 months to a year, once they're in here, even waiting for a determination of their refugee status. That creates a dilemma for many of these people who have no resources to live on. How do you answer critics who say we ought to give them an opportunity to work?
Mr. Chairman, the law provides that an individual can seek work authorization after their application for asylum has been pending for 150 days.
And of course, that can be lengthened, unfortunately, to longer periods of time as they're waiting for that determination. Isn't that true?
Yes, that is true. And we are climbing out of a backlog because U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, the agency that issues the work authorizations was financially devastated in the prior administration. It is funded primarily through fees. Every 2 years, it is to issue a new fee rule that calibrates the cost of immigration benefits according to the cost of operationalizing their administration. A fee rule has not been issued for more than 6 years, and we have a pending proposed rule now to really readjust, realign the costs of immigration benefits to the cost of the agency to administer them.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Senator Graham.